Hi guys, and thank you so much for everybody who's been tuning in one week after the other. We feel the love, and we just want to say thank you so much for everybody who's watching, and wherever you're watching from, may God bless you. And we want to say, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do subscribe. It's free to subscribe, and you actually support the channel. You actually give us the motivation. You inspire us to actually bring these amazing stories that we endeavor to bring. And today, we following up on this journey. We've embarked on a very amazing journey just to talk about fatherhood. Since it has been Father's sort of month in September in here in Australia, and we wanna continue this journey. And now we wanna talk a bit more specifics, because when we started, we were just starting with the general view, how the fatherhood starts and how that goes. And then after that, we're gonna look at a few elements. But today I wanna I have a guest today who I've been looking up to. I met them, I think I was 3 days old in Australia, so I was very fairly new. And I met his sons. I think the youngest one was only 3, and I had a chance to actually babysit or actually look after the son. So that's how the journey began. And I've seen him, how he's grown with his boys, and how he does it so effortlessly, until I'm like, this guy knows something that I don't know. But today, we're going to hear a little bit more about him and how he does it so effortlessly. And if it's effortlessly, or he does something that makes it look so effortlessly. So let's learn together wherever you are. Please stay tuned. Let's learn together, because this journey, it's all about learning and learning and learning every day. Today, we have a very special guest. I want him to just introduce himself, and I want to say Karibu Sana, Sam. He's a very good friend, and I hope we're going to learn together, because there's a lot of wisdom. If you see someone living their life and living it so effortlessly, it means there's something that he knows. And I hope we're gonna learn and know together. So karibu sana Sam. So Sam, by virtue of just introduction, maybe a brief introduction, let the people just know who Sam is. Karibu, and that's your camera there.
Thank you very much. My name's Samuel Maina. Now, I was born in Kenya, and I came to this country many moons back. So I've been here for quite a long time. By profession, I've worked in logistic and supply chain management, but I'm also an associate pastor. But currently, in terms of job, I'm working with NDIS industry, or people with disability. That's a shift from my long-term employment in terms of supply chain management, and also being a pastor in Uwezo Liberty Church, which we began over 7 years ago, or 7 years this year. That's where I have been.
We're just gonna start that journey, and maybe this journey into fatherhood, because in every part of life there's always a start. So maybe just to tell us how that journey began, and when, maybe how many years ago, and how many years have you been into this journey that we call fatherhood?
The journey of fatherhood started this is the 16th year. So my firstborn son is 15 and a half, if I can put it that way. So this is the 16th year.
Wow.
My younger one turned 10 in the beginning of the year. So yeah, so time is moving. Time is moving.
And with this journey, maybe 16, almost 16.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years and a lot of experience. So maybe what is your maybe the biggest highlight you can actually share with us, or what has been the biggest highlight of your parenting or being a father with this 16-year journey?
I think the highlight, or the thing that really has stood out, is having a great relationship with my boys. That to me, beyond everything else, that has been an amazing experience. That you can do things together. And they are both separate. They are different people. So it's not a collective, say, one shoe fits all. It's individually, they are completely different. So a relationship with both has been amazing.
And you've talked about it's actually boys, and raising boys is a bit different. It's a different ballgame. And now raising these two different boys, how has it changed you as a man as well? Because there's that part of you looking after them, but as well, it's actually grounding you. It's actually building you to be a better man, because you're actually raising men. So how has that changed you as a man?
It has a huge impact. It has had a huge impact in my life. I read somewhere a quote that says sometimes we listen preparing to respond, but we are not listening to understand. So, being a father of boys, it has taught me to listen, to understand, even before I provide an answer or a response. Because if I'm, especially the teenagers, if you are listening to respond, you'll have a discussion all night that ends up being very unfruitful. But when you listen to understand, sometimes it's beyond the reason that you're being given or the discussion you're having,
Yeah.
the reasons behind it. It helps you to understand. So it has had a great impact on me.
Yeah.
But it's a journey that I've enjoyed.
Has it made you to be a better man? Because
It has.
I think raising other men and you always want to portray a good image, or because us growing up, how we learned our fatherhood or being a man is through our dads or our uncles. So that now impacted you to be a more composed man?
It helps you to analyze yourself and assess how you are doing as a person.
Yes.
Because most things that happen in relationship or even raising kids, it's not a lot of sometimes what you say.
Yeah.
It's sometimes what you do. So what you are doing is being duplicated. And that comes to you thick and fast, and you see it happen. So it helps you assess, how am I actually doing as a dad? What am I modeling as a man? What am I modeling?
And before we go to maybe challenges within this journey, what is the one tip that you can give, fathers or dads, young dads out there when they're raising up boys, and you've been in that journey for 16 years. What is the one thing that has actually cemented it for you, having that great relationship, which I've observed with your boys? What is the one thing that has actually worked for you?
Stay engaged. Stay engaged.
Yeah.
And sometimes engagement is not in your own terms. So staying engaged in sometimes what they are doing or even what they are thinking.
Yeah.
And that may mean you might have to change
Your life.
your life, which is most of the time. Change your life, change your schedules.
Yes.
Change how you do things. Change some of your engagements, the things that you used to do. Not necessarily that they are bad, but you change your times to focus on what they are doing. That keeps you engaged.
Amazing. That's a great tip right there. Stay engaged. And now with this journey, every journey has its challenges, and you've been at it 16 men. It's amazing. 16 years. What has been the most maybe challenging part of this fatherhood?
That's a good question. It's not, I wouldn't say it's one challenge.
Yeah.
The challenges you face as a father, they are challenges based on the season you're in.
Yeah.
And fatherhood has all those seasons.
Yes.
For instance, my older son, when he was 1 year old, or when he was born, the first year he really didn't sleep.
Wow.
He would sleep 2 hours, and then he'll wake up. I would come home from work and he hasn't slept all day. I'll put him in the car and we'll go for a drive, anticipating he'll fall asleep in the car. We get back to the house. I open the front door, walk in, and he opens his eyes.
Wow.
So it got up to a point where for my wife to be able to rest, I would hold him through the night with pillows on both sides of the bed so that I can hold him, so that he can sleep lying on my chest, so that my wife can be able to rest, to be able to look after him through the day.
Wow.
Because he is awake through the night. And I will go to work having partially slept through the night to continue living life. And it's not an easy thing.
Yeah.
And that went for just about 12 months. We booked even sleep school. The week we booked for school where he would be taught how to sleep,
wow.
That is the first time that he actually slept. When he was due to rock up to school the next week to learn how to sleep, that is the week that he slept for the very first time. And I remember my wife had gone back to work that time.
Yeah.
And she went to an overnight shift. And as she went to work, I was left with him. and we put him to bed as usual, his milk, his bottle, and he slept in his bed. He didn't wake up through the night. So, but when my wife showed up at 7 a.m., no, 6 a.m. in the morning, I said, he's still asleep. Maybe sleep for a little bit so that you can get some rest before he gets up. We know he's going to get up in a moment. He didn't wake up until 4 p.m.
Wow.
So my wife woke up in hysteria and panic because she looked at the clock and said, where's the baby? That is the very first time
Wow.
he slept. But through that whole year,
Yeah.
I had to take at least 3 months off work to be able to support my family.
Wow. Wow. How now do you overcome such a challenge? Because it's actually straining you in all angles, in all in all dimensions. How did you even survive that as a family unit?
As a family unit, the way I think of a family unit is you have to work as a team.
Yeah.
And if you're not working as a team, that is something can quite easily pull you to the extreme ends, both of you, because you are both stretched.
Yeah.
So now you have to work as a team and identify what is it that you can be able to do to support.
Yeah.
So, and for us, it was for me, when we come home,
Yeah.
when I come home in the evening, was to support in whatever the roles were.
Yeah.
When it comes to the night,
Yeah.
I'll be gone to work for 10 hours plus. And when I'm gone for 10 hours plus,
Yeah.
it will be a completely different scenario
Yeah.
if my wife has been awake all night
Yeah.
and then she'll be awake all day to look after this little person.
Yeah.
So I took the responsibility to be able to look after him through the night, as in holding him so that he can sleep, so that he can also get some reasonable rest to be able to function during the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
It takes two.
It takes a village.
We're gonna come to that a little bit later on. But now with these challenges, and now maybe in that journey, were you maybe permanent residents of Australia? Because so for temporal visas, they actually use private health insurance. Do you think the challenges that you faced or people face, during parenting as a man, is it that different from people who are actually either permanent or temporal, or these challenges actually face anyone?
Well, put it this way. I can understand when my sons were born, we were permanent residents.
Yeah.
So, but if your son does not sleep, it makes no difference if you're a citizen, a permanent resident, or a student,
Yeah.
because the responsibility is still the same.
Yeah.
So, and I can understand there may be an added layer of challenge
Yeah.
if you are still a student and you're
Yeah.
looking for papers.
Yes.
But if your son is not sleeping, that's a challenge that is the same
Yeah.
for a student
Yeah.
and for a permanent resident and a citizen. So, and provision is pretty much the same.
We're gonna come to provision, because with that part of provision is where maybe they get it twisted. And I'm gonna touch on a very very specific angle with the provision, because that's the main thing I want us to talk about today. But now, having gone through all that and seeing your son and then seeing him sleep and then seeing him now 16 years later, what is the most rewarding thing you've seen through this journey as a father?
The most rewarding thing, relationship with them is amazing. Also, when you see your sons make a responsible decision
Yeah.
and you see the rewards and the fruits of it,
Yeah.
that is very rewarding as a parent.
Yeah.
When you see them model the behavior,
Yes.
and whether it's simple things as in choosing the right friends, which you have to actively participate in that.
Yeah.
Because as I said, the first year challenges was sleeping.
Yes.
The teenage challenges are different. The teenage challenges
It's navigating life.
is navigating life. And also what you also get in that season is other voices that speak to your kids, which may be louder than your voice. So you getting them to the right network and supporting them to get to the right networks, that those voices that are speaking to them, being peers or colleagues or other students, are people who are of the right standing, who can provide support to your son and be in the right company. That's a challenge as being in teenage
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
We have, by God's grace, we have been very fortunate. Not just fortunate, we have worked towards it
Yes.
to make sure we connect them to the groups that we feel are support to them as they get to manhood.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's a challenge.
And you've really touched on a very good specific point. How now did you work towards that? You said stay connected, but for them to listen to your voice, what did you do for them to say, okay, Dad, I hear you, and you're saying let's try this one, let's go there. How did you make it happen?
This is like building a house.
Yeah.
You cannot build a house in one day. There are steps and there are stages, and it's that whole process from the beginning, knowing that you are engaged and not sometimes not on your own terms, on
Okay.
their terms as well.
So they have to see you're listening.
They have to see you're listening and you're engaged. So as these seasons are changing, you are not being left from the previous season. You are moving to the current season, moving with what they like. For instance, my 10-year-old son,
Yeah.
he enjoys swimming. He enjoys being engaged in activity. Swimming is one of them. So every Friday at 6:30, we go to the swimming pool, and this is every Friday.
Without fail.
Without fail. And we are there for 2 hours, and we just swim and just enjoy it. So, and whether I enjoy it or not, that's beyond the point. The point is that creates a platform where we can connect and engage.
Yes.
My older son goes to youth, and he has been going to youth for a few years. Besides this year, that now he can catch a bus and go to youth, previously my calendar was still clear, and it's still clear every Friday that I can go pick him, drop him to youth. They can say, oh, Dad, can I stay for another hour? Youth is finished. Can I stay for another hour? We play basketball. Sure, stay. It gets to 11 o'clock, we're still in youth.
Wow.
But that I know is paying forward. What I'm paying in time here helps to build his character and paying forward in terms of what he is learning and who he is connected with.
Now you before we go to provision and now how that works, within Australian context and what that looks like in a relationship or in a marriage, decision making. You've really touched on a very good point, decision making. How do you arrive to, decision making within your family as a man? Because sometimes you want to, stamp the role of authority and say, I'm the guy, I have to make the decision. But I've learned something from you, just, bringing out I saw you allowing your son to make a decision which was really life altering or life changing. How, as a man, do you get to that point? And how did you even grow yourself as also with your wife to be able to allow your son to make sense? Talk about decision making in your family as a man. That was one. Yeah, I still think about that all the time. But anyway, talk about decision making.
Now, the decision you are referring to is when my son went to boarding school in Kenya. Would that be right?
Yes.
So, for instance, if I can address that one, it was in June 2020, during lockdown. And his view, after being at home for quite a lengthy period of time, he comes to us in June and says, can I go to Kenya and go to boarding school? And that was out of the blue. We said, all right. Why do you think you need to go? He said, I think I would enjoy it. Yeah. We said, all right, let's take the next 3 months. You pray and you think about it clearly. And then in September, you come with what decision you have thought is a clear decision and good decision for you. And then we'll discuss it then. So we gave him 3 months. And in September, he comes back. He goes, I have prayed. I have thought about it. I have not changed my mind. Can you help me go? We said, all right, here are the ground rules then. We will support you go. And as we support you go, when you go, it will be a minimum of 6 months. It cannot be anything shorter than that. It will be a 6 month minimum period when you go. So anyway, so he left. So I had to go with him. And it so happened because I needed to be present for the 4 months of 2022, I spent in Kenya.
Staying engaged.
Yes, staying engaged. So he stayed in Kenya for 8 months. So I stayed the first 3 with him. Then I left. He was in boarding school. Then I came back. And then in July, mid-July, I went back, stayed for another month, picked him up. Then we returned.
So my main question, and something I want people to learn, or maybe we can pick a few nuggets. How do you allow such a decision to happen within you? As a man, sometimes you're conflicted because you want to have the final say. Maybe it's not the right thing. It might suppress him. It might suppress maybe your wife, your other kids, or whatever. But as a man, how do you allow such, you know, decisions to be made within, because it's a relationship and it's a family which is growing. How do you cultivate that so that you can allow your family to grow as you grow as well as a man?
There's multiple ways. You have to come to a point of understanding.
Yeah.
Life is not all about you. The kids that you have been given, and I believe you've been given by God,
Amazing.
you are a steward
Yes.
of these kids.
Yes.
So personally, I know my life that I left home quite early.
Yeah.
As soon as I was done in high school,
Yes.
that was it. I left home.
Yes.
So you are a steward for only a very short time.
Yeah.
So if you think this kid, when he hits 18 years, which is in the next 2.5 years, he's a grown man.
Yeah.
For the next 60, 70 years, he is on his own.
Yeah.
He is his own man.
Yeah.
So your responsibility as a father
Yeah.
is to help him be fully equipped by the time he crosses that bridge.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking about yourself when you're supposed to be supporting him to grow and become a man of himself, have you really given him all the tools that he needs?
So you have to stop making it about you.
It's nothing to do with you. It's not about you. It's about the responsibility that you have given. You are a steward of that life that you've been given.
Wow. That is so powerful, man. That is so... Something has clicked in me. I don't know if it's clicking in you, but that's just amazing. Thank you so much, Sam. And now I wonder now, because now with all this, there's the family unit, right? There's a family unit, and more so here in Australia, you find that, we normally say it takes a village to raise a kid, but here you really find it's you and your wife. You're the village. There's no auntie. There's no, some of them maybe have aunties, but for your case, you only have you and Joyce.
Yeah.
So how now did you balance? Let's talk about gender roles in this unit, and especially here in Australia. Is there gender roles?
Well, that's a great question, Peter. You see, when you speak about gender roles, take it back. Most of your audience, are they from Kenyan background?
Yes, and African background as well.
African background as well. Now, when you think of what gender roles people speak about, I'll give you an example. I have a friend, and many years back when my son was 2 years old, we were comparing how much he spends in terms of hiring people to support him and his kids. And for this, I'm talking about house help, gardener, and the like.
Wow.
He spent $20,000 a month.
A month?
Yep.
Wow.
To be able to do that. Now, for me, the $20,000 a month, or the $20,000 per se, was not enough even to pay for daycare. So when you speak about a village, in the African context, you can hire the whole village to raise your son.
Yeah.
So when you say gender roles, really who is doing the jobs? Is it you, your wife, or the hired help?
Yeah.
It's the hired helps that do all the heavy lifting.
Yes, especially in Kenya.
Yes, it's the hired help that do all the heavy lifting. I've heard people who have 2 nannies to raise the kids. One is doing the cooking, the other one is a one-on-one looking after the baby. So if we are talking about gender roles, it's a twisted way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because if you bring that concept here, the village is you and your wife. And if you are really, really fortunate, you might have a friend or two, or an auntie and uncle, who can support you in that aspect of a village support. So if you think it that way, it adds another layer of struggle or challenge
Yeah.
between both of you.
Yes.
For me, I prefer to think about it as we are a team. Whatever needs to be done,
Has to be done.
it has to be done, regardless who does it. Because if we have the 1950s mentality
Yes.
of gender roles, where the wife stayed at home and did everything, they had time to do that.
Yes.
This time, the wife has gone to work, you have also gone to work, 40 hours a week. So who has extra time? None of you. So when you get to the house, what needs to be done is what needs to be done.
Wow.
It's as simple as that.
And how now do you balance, or how do you make it work? Maybe for someone, in layman's, maybe very tangible evidences. How do you make it work?
Let me give you an example, Peter. When my boys were smaller, and this is both of them, when Monday used to be my free day, Monday I cooked everything. I cooked their meals for the whole week, and I'll put it in the freezer to be able to create time for my wife to do other things in the course of that week. So that I wasn't asked. I wasn't asked to do it.
Yes.
I was not rostered to do it. We have never actually had a roster in our house. Who does what? There's no roster. It has never existed. So, but that is the responsibility I took. The other thing that I took, I'll give you the second example. I'm a Christian, a born again Christian. I'm a pastor. We, during those early years of the kids growing up, we would go to church. I wasn't pastoring then as much as I was engaged in church. But every single time through the first year, my wife would stay in the baby's room with the boys when they were breastfeeding. After that, the next 2 years for both of them, I stayed in the baby's room with them. The whole service. Why is that? The reason being, my wife is home all week long. So all engagement she has had is with this little person. So it was a time of engagement. You move to the community, go to church, enjoy the service, interact with other people, and I would sit back, stay in the baby's room until they would hit 3 years. Then they would go in a kids or Sunday school, a little Sunday school for the 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. Then I went back to church.
Because they can sit down and listen.
So that is 4 years of being in a baby class, in church, looking at the service, at the screen, and going home and you're asking, what do they preach about? Because you heard nothing. Because the place is full of kids and other mothers and
Wow. Amazing. So basically with this, you're saying you really have to be mindful of the other person, because if it's just the two of you doing the tasks, it doesn't really necessarily need you to be asked to do something, because if you're in it together, I think the biggest lesson now I'm understanding is, as a team, you're playing for the same team. Whether it's someone who's cooking for the baby, whether it's someone who's taking out the trash, cooking dinner, taking the kids to kinder. That's the village, and you have to really make it work. That's very, 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 and maybe the question I wanted to follow up with, because for men, because we're talking about fatherhood and men, there's the ego part, that comes to play. I cannot look after my, I cannot change. Some men are still not changing nappies. But how as a man, how did you make yourself do that? And second to that, did it change you as a man? Did it make you any less of a man?
100% no. The responsibility that you have, sometimes it's not of your choosing. Because, for instance, if you I'll give you an example, Peter. At 5 weeks, of my older son, when he was born, my wife fell sick, and we called an ambulance, and she was taken to hospital. And now myself and the young man, who is 5 weeks old, we all ended up in hospital for the next 3 days. My wife couldn't do anything. So it was my responsibility to be able to navigate that season, or whether it's 3 days or whatever, to change nappies, to wash the baby, and do whatever that needs to be done to navigate that. Now, if we viewed changing nappies as making you less of a man,
Yeah.
whose responsibility is this when your wife is sick? Is it that you're not changing because you're not able to, or because you connect your task with your identity?
Ah, good question. Good question. Very, very critical question, because it doesn't really have to change who you are, because it's a task. It's not a definition of who you are.
It's a task.
It's a task, and tasks are there to be done.
When you get a job,
Wow. Yes.
when you get a job,
Yes.
you go to work,
Yes.
and you're told these are the tasks, and you're being paid to do
these
these tasks.
Yes.
And say, for instance, those tasks,
Yes.
in so to say, they are gender roles,
Yes.
and you're given a female task or a male task. You don't stand there arguing with your
don't ask.
boss. This is a man's job. I cannot do this.
You applied for the job.
You applied for the job, and this is the job.
Yeah.
You perform the job. You get paid at the end of the day.
We just gotta leave it there, because that's just nuggets dropping right there. Just do the task. Now, let's talk about a very big topic, provision in a relationship or as a man, because provision has really made men maybe miss most of whatever is happening within the family. Maybe perhaps they've gone out, and sometimes they equate provision as monetary, and they miss out on so many things. But how now, as a man, how do we now look at provision, and how do we define even provision itself?
Provision is an interesting thing, Peter.
Yeah.
Provision, in my view, it has multiple facets to it.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to provide monetarily
Yes.
for our family, because that is required.
Yes.
And as a man, you have to stand up to be counted. That is necessary. But provision has also another aspect of what you actually forego for you to provide time,
Yes.
because that time is critically necessary.
Wow.
I heard a quote, an interview. I'm not sure whether you're familiar of Billy Graham.
Yes.
He's a great man of God
Yes.
who has gone to be with the Lord in 2018.
Yes.
Now, this man was a counselor and an advisor to presidents. They asked him a few years just before he died,
Yeah.
they asked him, what are your regrets? His one regret, he said, was, I regret that I did not have enough time to spend with my kids when they were younger. So his regret was the provision of time.
Of time, yes.
Not the provision of the resources.
Yes.
His regret was not that I did not get to talk to the kings and the queens and the presidents a lot more. His regret was I didn't have enough resources. He had more than enough resources.
Yes.
But his one regret is that he didn't have enough time. When his kids were younger,
Yes.
he did not spend enough time with them. Kids need your time, a lot of your time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it is in the quantity of time you get the quality of time and the connection with your kids.
And also you get the gold out of your children, because even they say good things takes time to grow or to develop. So you need to, but now the other the other side to this is, then how do you make it work? Because now you need to provide, you need to be there, you need to create a safe space, because you talked about safe space. You know their friends, you know where they're going, you've been there, basketball, swimming, everything. But now how do you now balance it and are able to provide everything? How do you make that balance?
This can only effectively work if it's done in a team environment. For instance, when we spent 4 months in Kenya
Yeah.
last year, through COVID, My wife did not actually travel with us. So she was in Australia when we spent all that time in Kenya. So the cost of my son being in Kenya, the cost was not what actually we paid. The cost is what actually we did not get paid because of that 4 months of not being able to work because you are away. But the investment, that's an investment.
Yes.
But it's not an investment that you're gonna go count money.
Yes.
This is how much I made.
Yes.
It is actually this is how much I lost. But this invested in my son.
Yes.
I see the results of it now.
Even now.
Now, not just me. People come to ask me, how come you did this?
Yeah. Like I was
We
asking.
can see the change. We can see the change and the transition of what has happened.
Yes.
The maturity, the
Yes.
growth.
Yes.
Because it wasn't a great season in terms of him enjoying,
Yes.
but it's a season that stretched him.
Stretching.
It
Yes.
stretched him and he grew. But it's a stretching with support at hand.
Wow. So you have to work as a team. And then you know, sometimes, you know, people feel, oh, my wife is earning more, so they feel. So how then now as a man do you need to handle that? Because some men are, you know, you feel, oh, I'm not providing enough, or my wife is providing. Is that really even necessary within this partnership?
That's not even a question. That is not even a. If you really is a team effort, it doesn't matter who brought what in the kitty.
Yes.
It's what we're gonna do with what we have.
Got the resources we have.
It's the resources we
Yes.
have. How do we allocate these resources?
Yeah.
Because if you're working as a team, you bring 1,000, she brings say 1,500, I bring 1,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We put this in the kitty. We allocate that in our budget. It's got no one's name as an individual. This is the family resources that we are using. So if you think of it as an individual, this is my money.
Yeah.
I think you need to shift a few concepts in terms of those resources you have because you are selling yourself short.
Wow. that's, that's wisdom right there. That's wisdom right there. And we can talk about, you know, provision and all this. And if you want us to really narrow down to how you do it, the budgeting, because he has spoken a very good budgeting, all these things. But what I'm actually taking home today is work as a team. Don't look at the money as if it's your money. It's your money. Because even if you're bringing 500, she's bringing 2,500. At the end of the day, that's 3,000. It's money you can use and support your kids and you know, the father is around and the sons are happy, the mother is around and the, you know, the children are happy. So now maybe as we go to wind down, maybe what is maybe one of your greatest lesson maybe you've learned all through this journey, 16-year, you know, journey as a father?
Lesson. One of the things I have learned is as life has storms, and storms are part of life. The thing I have learned is to navigate through the storm, knowing there is no storm that is permanent.
Yes.
Every storm has an end date. So if you learn to navigate them in that understanding that this storm soon will come to an end, it has an end date at some point, then you don't internalize it. You ride the waves as the waves are on.
Wow.
As it goes to the end of it, and another one kicks in.
So don't internalize
Yes.
life seasons.
No.
Because a season is a very short time, but your life is actually
Yeah.
eternal.
Yep.
You have your life to live for the longest which God will actually provide for you.
Yep.
So if you let a short season define you or change you, then you're actually missing out.
So it's the ability and the learning how to navigate seasons as the seasons change.
Yes.
And not get
adapt.
stuck and adapt.
Wow. Wow. Now with you know, with that lesson and life lessons, you know, with this happening, your son not sleeping, you know, sometimes being, you know, with your son in Kenya, all this is happening. At the same time, you have to provide. You're away from work. All this is happening. How do you take care of your mental well-being? And how can you advise other men? How can a man, or how should men take care of their mental well-being? Because this is really draining and overwhelming.
It is. It is.
Yes.
There's a few things I have considered.
Yes.
And firstly, a great relationship
Yeah.
in your household is a great way to support your mental well-being. Because if your home is a safe place
Yes.
and a happy place, even with challenges,
Yes.
there are things you don't have to deal with. But if your home
Yes.
is a war zone or a place where there is tensions constantly,
Yes.
even when you come home, you are not in a restful place.
You're still
or
getting
like,
drained.
yeah, you're still getting drained.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that has been really beneficial.
Yeah.
Having a great relationship
Yes.
with my wife. The other thing that I have is I have a few men that we catch up, different groups of men,
Yes.
and we'll just go out,
Yeah.
have dinner together, and just chat,
Ah.
and just chat, and
Yeah.
just relax and
Yeah.
chat,
Yeah.
and you can talk about anything, and do that, and enjoy those relationships. So you have to build a support network around yourself
Yeah.
that you can be able to engage with. And this is not going to be everybody.
Yeah.
It's usually a small network that you have to connect with yourself. The third thing I would suggest is self-care. Self-care is critically important.
Yeah.
You have to schedule it. You have to schedule it.
Yeah.
And this is not something that people talk about every day, but scheduling self-care is important.
Okay.
And how do you schedule self-care? You do those things that you enjoy. I enjoy going for massage.
Yeah.
I've even gone for pedicure. And I record a video and I send to my wife and she goes, "Where are you?" I said, "It's just my day today, and I'm doing those things that help me look after me."
So that you can become a present father.
Yes.
A present dad.
Yes.
Wow.
Look after
Wow.
me. So those things that you like, you may not like massage.
Yes.
You may not like somebody
Pedicure.
pedicure. You may
Yes.
not like
Yeah.
that. But what are those things that you like? Do those things you like. Schedule them.
Yeah.
That helps you to get that little bit of me time where you can reflect,
Yeah.
where you can relax, where you can unwind.
Yeah.
You may like going to movies. I enjoy going to movies. You go to the movies.
Yeah.
Do something about you
Yeah.
that helps you to look after yourself.
Wow.
Self-care is personal. It's not a community
It's
aspect.
not a community. No,
It's not even a couple thing.
Yes.
Self-care is personal.
you do you.
You do you. Because you cannot give when you have nothing to
Yes.
give.
You have to feel
You
your
have
time.
to feel the time.
Wow, amazing, amazing. I'm loving this already. And now, someone looking at you and someone watching you from whatever, they may wonder, what has carried you all through? Maybe is there, something that grounds you, something that carries you? Where do you get all this wisdom? And also, what materials maybe can you share, or can you ask someone to maybe go and tap into? Because there's something that has guided you all through. Maybe a few men, maybe a book. So what really grounds you and has taken you through all this as a man?
I'll give you probably 3 resources.
Yes.
The first is the Bible, the Word of God. I believe that with my whole heart, that's true.
Yeah.
That has been a core of my life. That relationship with God has been a pillar of strength, and I cannot overemphasize that, how that has been so important to me,
Yeah.
and that being a cornerstone. The other things I was talking about, learning to shift through seasons. There's a little book that says "Who Moved My Cheese." I don't know whether you have read that book.
I should look for it.
It's a little. I can give you a copy. I've got one.
Yeah.
It's a little book, but it shows you how when seasons change. It's got 4 characters, just to highlight. It's got 4 characters, and these characters, they're all looking for cheese. There's 2 human beings. There is 2 mice, and they're all looking for cheeses in this maze. And as they're looking for cheese, they go to one cheese point, let's call it A. They find cheese. And then for the next few or long days, they start going to find cheese, and the cheese is always there at the same spot. The mice never change their habits. They are always looking for cheese, even though they knew where the cheese was. The 2 men, they became too comfortable. They now started, they used to go very early to look for cheese.
Yeah.
They started coming in midday. They would take off their shoes. They hang them. They will sleep. They will relax until the cheese ran out. When the cheese ran out, the mice had not lost the skill to find the cheese, but the men had become too comfortable to move from that spot.
Wow.
So to find the next lot of cheese was very difficult for them. The point being the change of mentality, being able to know, okay, the season is changing. I also need to change with this season. These are the things that I need to sort of hold into. The third one I can give is John Maxwell. John Maxwell, as an author, has been a great resource for me.
Yeah.
He's a former pastor, but now trains leadership. Because as a man, you need a lot of leadership skills.
Yeah.
And those leadership skills, whether it's in the corporate world, they also apply in the family life, in the house. And I've learned a lot from him. I've got a lot of books from him. I've learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So get yourself copies. Ask, you can reach out. You can reach out to Pastor Sam. I've called him Pastor. I didn't want to say Pastor Sam, but I've called him Pastor Sam for a very specific reason. So if someone wants maybe guidance or maybe to talk through, this fatherhood, being a man, identity, to learn a few, steps on life, how can they maybe reach you and maybe get in touch with you and maybe to get this wise counsel?
No, they can reach me. I'm available.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you share the numbers or email, probably email.
Email is
You can
better,
share
or
my
even
email.
if you have Facebook, or even if you have, email or Facebook is much better.
Yeah, I've got email and I've got Facebook.
Yes.
You can put them on your channel
On the
when
screen,
I'll
yes.
give them to you.
Yeah.
And people can reach out if they want to reach out, and we can provide the support as we have it.
Yeah.
And if it's beyond us, we can recommend you to other areas where you may be able to get your support.
Amazing. So that's the wise counsel we had for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all my subscribers and all those who have not subscribed. Please, please, please subscribe. Let's grow this channel. Let's bring great stories. And we continue with this season of fatherhood. So our next guest, I'm not going to mention him today, but we're going to see who's our next guest. So stay tuned and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you very much.
Amazing.